Welcome to the channel. Let's get right into it.
Ember hadn't shed a tear at the funeral. Grief wasn't the problem, it was the distance. Her father, Elias, hadn't died suddenly. He had faded, pulled away year by year by the relentless, consuming chase for the Meld Stone, the supernatural gem that was supposed to change the world. To Ember, it had only changed him, turning him from a loving parent into an obsessive hermit. The only things Elias left her were his modest house and a heavy, leather-bound journal. His final request, delivered by a tired lawyer, was bizarrely specific. She was to inherit the house, a few stocks, and the stupid diary. Stupid diary, Ember muttered, pulling the hefty book from a dusty box a week later. She was looking for a contact number, a password, anything useful. What she found, however, made her hands go cold. The diary wasn't filled with research notes. It was filled with dates, times, and stark predictions. The first entry that arrested her attention was dated 3 years prior. At 06:14, 14 now GMT. The leader of the Northern Dominion will, without warning, dissolve the assembly. The resulting power vacuum is not chaos, but calculated control. The people will be offered bread and repression. Ember remembered that day with sickening clarity. Now reading it here, described months before it happened, it was a terrifying blueprint. The diary was a transcript of the future. Ember spent days trapped in the past, flipping pages, cross-referencing global events. The 2055 market crash, the great Indonesian flood relief failure, the breakthrough in fusion energy, all there, written years in advance. Elias hadn't been recording history. He had been recording fate. Then she hit the last truly legible entry. It was written in a frantic, spidery hand, predicting an event 2 weeks from today's date. 11/22/09/47 GMT. The grid shadow activation. Global energy system fails. The resulting chaos will allow the second strike. The launch sequence. Millions without power for weeks. Key. The Reykjavik substation. Relay 4. This wasn't a vague prophecy. It was a technical manual for disaster. She looked at the date on her phone. November 8th. 2 weeks. Ember slammed the diary shut. Going to the authorities was pointless. She had to act. She realized she needed to translate the impossible knowledge into action. She bought a one-way ticket to Reykjavik, using a burner card and starting a highly illegal research campaign on the substation's security schematics. Ember landed in Reykjavik under the vast metallic winter sky. She set up her equipment, but as she ran a deep-level scan of the substation's digital footprint, something felt wrong. A specific layer of high-security digital tripwire she had mapped out was simply gone. She reran the decryption, the same result. It was as if someone had known exactly where she would look and what she was looking for, and had deliberately removed the most complex defense mechanism. It was too convenient, too specific. A chill crept up her spine. Ember realized she had been tracked. She had been fed a deliberately flawed schematic, and a hidden GPS tracker was embedded deep within her laptop's motherboard. She was on the radar of Aethel, the shadowy organization that had already driven her father to his grave. She needed to move fast. She cut the leather binding of the diary and found the Meld Stone hidden deep within the spine, a rough obsidian teardrop radiating a low, pulsing warmth. She sealed it in a lead-lined container. Next, she planted her tracked laptop near a visible thermal vent outside the city, creating a perfect decoy and digital distraction to draw Aethel's initial response team away from her true point of entry. The night of the infiltration was cold and clear. Ember moved through the forgotten maintenance tunnels in the west, using obscure, out-of-date civilian blueprints. She finally emerged into the massive echoing control room housing the critical relays. There it was, Relay 4. She pulled out her tools but instantly froze. A new, highly complex quantum lock had been installed, requiring a constantly changing alphanumeric key. Aethel hadn't just tracked her. They had adapted. They saw her plan, let her get this far, and then placed an impossible barrier in her path. Ember checked her watch. 09:30 a.m. 17 minutes until global energy systems collapsed. She was forced back to her last, desperate option. She released the Meld Stone. The moment Ember's skin touched the obsidian teardrop, a shock of absolute cold energy surged through her. Her world fractured. She was simultaneously standing in the cold substation, watching the clock tick down, and witnessing a million simultaneous futures. Time ceased to be linear. In a fleeting, ghost-like projection, she saw her father desperately trying to write a final note just moments before a man in a black tactical suit entered the room. Elias hadn't died of natural causes. He had been executed by Aethel. Stay tuned for part 2.